Well, everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to Wasteland Talks, my weekly talk show where I talk about whatever the hell I want. And this week is an MLB check-in, and this is first time. It's not my brother, my friend Dave, so we don't have that Phillies bias on today, but I did open it up to a Giants fan, despite the fact that I'm a Diamondbacks fan. Nash, thank you so much for coming on my show.
Happy to be here. Happy to represent the West Coast a little bit.
At least you're not a Dodgers fan. So
Oh no, we can agree on that. We can agree on that.
But basically what we're going to do today, we don't have a whole lot of structure like I do usually on this. Basic idea is we're a month in. There's been crazy stuff going on in baseball so far this season, and we're just going to take turns saying what some of our bold predictions are after this first month of play. But Nash, where would you like to start things?
All right. Well, you kind of set me up there a little bit, because you mentioning that you got some intense Phillies talk. I think I'm gonna make we're a month in, and once again, a lot can change. People love to throw out the small sample size argument, but if you can also look at it as we're 1/6 of the way through the season.
Yep.
I think the Phillies might not make the playoffs this year. Like, they obviously made that kind of miracle run. They were the third wild card team. They make the miracle run because they're built for the postseason. They have a lot of big boppers in there. They have those two shutdown aces, but they're three through
playing
five.
like it.
Yeah, their 3 through 5 starters are rough. Trey Turner has not really been there. There's still a lot of hope. That's a tough division. You have the Braves who are running rampant. The Mets could get hot anytime. And then the Marlins can pitch. They can't really hit. So it's like, in a division that's hard, in a league that's hard, because the NL West is also pretty stacked. I think that there's a pretty high chance that the Phillies don't make the postseason this year based on what has been represented so far, which is sad because I was rooting for the Phillies last year, and I know there's Philly love on the show, but I think could be a rough October.
I highly doubt they'll have any chance of actually winning their division. I just think the Braves are just too good, and I think the Mets are kind of going to have an imploding season, which I'll flesh that out in a bit. But like, the tough thing is the Phillies are not going to win the division. They're going to have to win one of those wild card spots. And I think a nice segue into mine is my bold prediction is either the Pirates or the Diamondbacks are taking one of those wild card spots, like that third one.
Yes.
Both of them, I feel like, took leaps beyond what was expected of their young teams. And I just feel like at least one of them is going to keep it going. Obviously, I'm biased and hope it's the Diamondbacks, but like, they just have a lot of young talent. Pirates have a lot of young talent. And, I think some of the changes, like the Diamondbacks are a ridiculously fast team. And the pickoff rule change is hugely benefiting them because they're going to be able to run all over those bases between Corbin Carroll and Jake McCarthy when he plays and stuff like that. I just feel like one of those two teams is going to slip in there, which, if you really think about it, one of those wild card spots is going to be the Padres. Realistically, if you're just basing things off of talent, you would expect they should. I also don't think this is a bold prediction that they could choke. But like, and the thing is, the Mets are going to have to really fall off too and not compete for a wild card spot. It's going to be a tough go for the Phillies. And I do really think that one of those two overachieving teams will stick it out to some extent. And I don't think the Pirates will win that division. I find it very hard to believe that the Cardinals are going to stay as bad as they're playing right now.
That's true. But I saw somebody, I think there was like a pitching ninja or Codify on Twitter or whatever. They broke down the starters. All of the starters for the St. Louis Cardinals right now have ERAs over 5. 3 of them have ERAs over 6. And I'm like, okay, wow. And then Arenado hasn't been hitting. Goldschmidt's been slower. He's been okay, but and then with all the behind the scenes stuff, I don't know if you saw any of the like the manager, and I think his name was Tyler O'Neill, got into the altercation and benched him because he said he wasn't running hard enough, and they like started getting into a media war. There's something going on in St. Louis. So I love your Pirates love there. I think last year the Orioles were like the upstart, way like a way bigger surprise. And they are again this year. They're a lot better, but I think the Pirates are this year's Orioles, and the benefit that the Pirates have is they play in the weakest division in baseball.
Yep. It's an ugly division.
And so it's like, I mean, for a long time, we've always looked at it as, oh, it's the Cardinals division to lose. Okay, well, look at them right now. They're a month in, and it's absolute shambles right now. You have the Brewers, who are good. The Brewers are going to slap the ball around, and I could see them also winning the division. But like, I think the Pirates are really high up there with chances right now to make to snag that, at least that third wild card spot. So I love that prediction. That was one of mine as well. And I love sending some Pirates some love because they were not supposed to be good. And they lost arguably their best player, and they're still playing really well. O'Neal Cruz went down injured. He's going to be out for a few months.
Yeah.
And you have McCutchen playing like he's an MVP in 2013 again. And I don't know. It's probably not 100% sustainable, but you can win games against those Reds and the Cardinals right now.
Yep. Well, they went in, what? Who would have thought one of the most interesting series in baseball in the first month of this season was going to be a Tampa Bay Rays Pirates series?
Absolutely, right?
That
most winning.
Yeah, it's an exciting prospect. But yeah, it's definitely gonna be a wild card chase in the National League. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but I think the AL one might be even wilder just because of one division. But Nash, what's your next bold prediction?
Well, okay. I mean, honestly, I should have predicted that you were going to pick your Diamondbacks to do well, because my big one this year is, I don't think it's a bold prediction. First of all, I think Corbin Carroll is going to win NL Rookie of the Year. I think he's electric. Now, I don't watch a ton of Diamondbacks games. I have the luxury of having him on a fantasy team in one of my fantasy teams, and I get to watch his stats day in, day out. I think he's electric. And he's made me really excited for that Diamondbacks team. I think that Diamondbacks team could and potentially finish a second in that division. So that's a little bit of a piggyback off of yours, because I know you mentioned that already.
Well, technically, they could finish second and still not make the playoffs. So
you're not wrong. I just think I think they are a sleeper team to get 90 wins. And when you start touching 90 wins, you're a lot closer to locking down that playoff position.
Yeah.
And I just pivoting over to the NL West, obviously I'm a Giants fan. The Giants bum me out a lot, although they did just take a series from the Houston Astros, which brings me joy.
Mm-hmm.
But you have the Rockies, which are historically bad. The Rockies are going to have this isn't a bold prediction. The Rockies are going to have one of the worst seasons in their history, maybe in MLB history. Rockies are trash.
Well, and what's crazy is I'm pretty sure they just they either did sweep or almost swept. Who were they playing? The Brewers. So because I'm pretty sure the Rockies were 9-20, and now they're 12-20. So they're still trash, but that's why we play the games. Something crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, I just think that in that weak NL, it's not a weak NL West. I just think that the Giants are a team you can beat up on right now. The Rockies are definitely a team you can beat up on. The Padres aren't clicking. Xander Bogaerts went over there and he's doing really well. He's hitting 300. He's doing Xander Bogaerts things. Manny Machado will probably heat up. Their pitching is below average. Juan Soto is walking and not doing anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have those like that going on, like the Dodgers are still dodgering somehow, but I think the Diamondbacks could easily be the Diamondbacks and the Padres. I think going to be jostling back and forth for that second place, and one of the other one might push the other out of the postseason, which I think is incredibly exciting. Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of piggyback off of what you're talking about the Rockies. I think there's going to be at least 4 teams with 100 losses.
Yeah.
And that, like, how they're playing right now, that doesn't seem like it's a bold prediction, but like, I would have to go back. When was the last time you could think of where there's that many absolutely atrocious teams? And
So
it's not good.
I don't know if there's ever been 4.
It's
I
crazy.
know last year I think there were 2, but like 4 teams. You're right too, because I just started reeling them off in my head.
Yeah, because Kansas City, 100%. 100% Oakland,
The Washington Nationals.
Washington Nationals, and the Rockies.
Okay. A little bit of a curveball. The White Sox.
They could even be another, which that's like bad. Well, here's the thing. It's all about numbers. You can't have an AL East division like that without somebody paying the price. And somebody's paying the price. And it's all those really, really bad teams. Like the Athletics are 6-26. They have a 188 winning percentage.
Yeah. And the A's, that's a sad story to me, man.
That's just like a travesty of baseball. So like just put in perspective, you need to get 100 losses, you need a 382 winning percentage. Right now, White Sox 313, Kansas City 250, Oakland 188. Washington's actually above it. St. Louis 313. I hope for their sake they don't stay that bad, but like I don't know. Rockies are 375, so they're like
They're
right
fighting it off.
around there. So like I don't know. It could like that's my bold prediction is there's going to be a lot of like it's going to be a historically bad season for a significant group of teams that are just going to play straight trash this season.
Yeah. Well, and I guess to piggyback off of that, I don't know, did you get a chance to on social media or whatever listen to the White Sox fan who called into the radio show and ranted for about 7.5 minutes about the White Sox?
Mm-mm.
When you get a chance to everybody watching, listening, and you yourself, it's not just like raging fan and it's funny. It's like the most eloquent anger argument of this guy totally dismantling the White Sox organization and the way the organization has been run for like 23 years now. And it was intense stuff. So mine is, I think the White Sox are going to blow up their team, which is insane because that team on paper is very good.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at a team with like all-star caliber pitchers. You're looking at a team like guys who are highly touted prospects, and I think it's Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez. Yasmani Grandal was a top 3 catcher for a long time. Yohan Moncada, Tim Anderson. These are not guys who should be hitting 200 or like not on the field all the time. You have Dylan Cease, who almost won in the Cy Young last year. You have Lucas Giolito, who almost won it a few years ago.
I dropped him from my
Yeah.
team already. Just like, nope, goodbye.
Lance Lynn has been good in the past. And like even his last start, he was shoving for 6 innings and then against the Tampa Bay Rays. And then the Rays put up a 10 spot in the 7th. Like, what is going on with the White Sox? And I was just like, I think we're going to see it's similar to, it was like 2021. The Chicago Cubs had that core unit of Bryant, Rizzo, Contreras, Javier Baez, and they were kind of in it. And then all of a sudden, they traded Baez, they traded Rizzo, they traded Bryant, and they exploded the team. I think we're going to see that with the Chicago White Sox this year, which is sad because the AL Central is not a super competitive division. It's good. The Guardians are good. The Twins are good.
Yep.
But you also have 2 of the worst teams in baseball in that division. You should be walking over some of those teams. And the fact that you're dead last, like for a White Sox team that everybody thinks was going to contend for 3-4 years now has not. I think it's over. I think that this run is over, which is sad for that White Sox team.
And we're sorry for you, Aaron, but not that Aaron.
Yes, big.
Who is the main White Sox fan that I know.
Yeah. Tough to watch.
Yeah,
he was. I remember he was really arguing for Cease to win the Cy Young last year over Verlander, which honestly I don't necessarily disagree with. I think Verlander won it kind of on the back that he was 39 years old and came back and
had an ERA of 1.75.
Yeah.
So like, I think he won that because of that ERA. Because like, how don't you give it to somebody who has a sub-2 ERA? Like, what's going to be crazy is when time rolls around at the end of this season, Ohtani, he keeps pitching, which I'm sure we'll get to him at some point, but still sticking around with like overall teams or divisions. My bold prediction is that AL East, every team winds up being at least 500 by the end of the season.
But that is mathematically so hard. But
well, this is piggybacking off of my prediction with all those 100-loss teams. That the only way that's going to happen is if somebody's beating the crap out of them.
Well, and to your point, everybody plays each other this year. So they're playing each other a few games less.
Yep.
So that means the Blue Jays and the Yankees aren't going head to head those 3 games. So they are able to pick up a series against the Nationals or the Marlins or the Giants or whatever. So teams that they normally wouldn't face, they're getting, so they're hopefully winning 2-3 games there. So I mean, I could, if I'm
bold predictions.
If I'm buying and
this is
selling,
probably my boldest one that I have is that they all end up 500 or above.
Yeah. It's tough because the Blue Jays are really good.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees, if they're healthy, should be good. Rodon hasn't thrown a pitch yet. Judge and Stanton are both hurt right now.
Which, to be frank, well, I feel like the 2 worst teams talent-wise out of that division are the Red Sox and the Yankees.
Which is just crazy.
From consistency standpoint. Because, I feel like at some point you have to be like, well, on paper, perfect example, DeGrom on paper is a Cy Young Award winner every year, but he can't pitch 15 starts.
Yeah.
So, you have to take into account that, these players are not playing consistently. Stanton, I don't think Stanton's a real chip to be like, oh, look at the talent of the Yankees. How often does he really make that big of an impact? Judge, yes. Judge is one of the biggest impact players in baseball, but also, he's hurt right now. And Garrett Cole miraculously having a season unlike the one he had last year. But, I don't know. And then the Red Sox, I felt weren't supposed to compete. They've been letting people go. and they're filling holes with like Corey Kluber, and like those are the kinds of signings that they were making.
The only reason why I am not fully on board with your bold prediction, like if I'm buying and selling a little bit, I'm not 100% on board, is because the other four teams I can like kind of make excuses for, or they're proving it that they're going to do it. Like the Rays, Blue Jays, we talked about the Yankees, and then the Orioles. The Red Sox can hit. And I think everybody was forgetting that the Red Sox still have professional hitters. They still have Rafael Devers, who's great. They signed Masataka Yoshida, who's just going to hit bombs. Justin Turner's a elite contact guy. You know, they're going to hit. It's their pitching that I think is going to be their downfall. So if they can out hit the runs that their pitchers are going to give up, I agree with you. But I think that when we're in the dregs of the July, August, and their rotation gets beat up a little bit. Chris Sale probably goes down injured again.
Probably.
They're relying on a 35-year-old James Paxton to come back at some point.
Yeah.
You know,
that's exactly it. Paxton, Kluber, they're not going to make your rotation.
They're the team that I'm the most worried is like, okay, I don't know if they're going to make it, but I mean, it could happen, and particularly because if these skids that we're seeing from other teams, you know, they just need to. It's kind of like you say, it's a numbers game, but it's also just how the schedule lines up, right? Like if you get three bad teams in a row,
is a product of them drastically changing how the schedule is.
Yep.
And this is an immediate, like, holy crap. Like, this is the kind of stuff that could happen now. I think the rule changes that they've made have made immediate impacts. Like, steals are going way up. Gameplay is going a lot faster. And there's a bunch of really elite pitchers who are not pitching how they usually do because they're being rushed and are not used to this pitch clock.
Well, also just the shift, right? Like you can't pitch to contact as much because you can't have three infielders on one side of the plate on one side of the field anymore. So
yeah, but you sure can bring in an outfielder, apparently.
Yeah. Well, that's risky though.
So stupid. But like that, yeah, that's the thing too, because like I think the Phillies pitching staff's hurting one of the most because of this pitch clock, because something's not right with Wheeler or Nola.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. I was afraid Zach Gallen was going to get hurt the same way, and then he went on a 28 scoreless streak.
Yeah.
And then lost it his last start, but like they still won that game. But, you know, it's interesting, but my boldest of predictions is that AL East, I do agree the Red Sox are probably the ones who are most likely to ruin my bold prediction, but we'll have to see.
Which is honestly just a crazy sentence to say, because if you look at that Orioles team, it's a bunch of young guys and a like I was saying, yeah. And that's what's crazy is that all these things that I'm saying about the Red Sox are technically true about the Orioles too, but for some reason I just believe in the Orioles more. So maybe I'm just biased because they kind of did it last year too, and they're doing it again.
Scrappy team.
But one of my bold predictions in the offseason that didn't turn out is I thought they were going to be in on one of the big free agents. I thought they were going
100%.
I thought Rodon was really like he was potentially going to go there, and they didn't end up doing it, and it was kind of bummed me out. They're doing really well right now, but one of my kind of follow-up bold predictions is I think in this trade deadline we're going to see if they're still not just at 500 but winning games at a hefty rate. I think we're going to see them finally make a splash. Which is exciting for me because I'm going to root for the underdog in those divisions that I don't have like a dog in. So
it would be the craziest thing in the world. Ohtani gets traded to the Orioles.
See, I thought that, but I'm just like, there's no way that they would do that. That would go against everything that they would.
Well, and I don't think Ohtani would want to go to Baltimore. Like,
No.
I think he wants a big market.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to talk about that right now too. I think that
Let's do it.
one of my
Where's Ohtani going? Because I don't think it's a bold prediction to say he's getting traded.
well, okay, but here's the 50-50. Do you think the Angels will be in contention at the trade deadline in that division? Because if they're in contention, there's no way they can trade Ohtani. You can't do it because you know that it's a nut, like there's a 99.99% chance he walks in the offseason. So if you're in contention, the one slim chance that you're going to have to keep him in a Los Angeles Angels uniform is to contend and push to the postseason. I think the AL West is a sneaky, really good division right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have my other team, the Mariners, who are not playing super well, but like they could go off in a moment's notice.
They're still 15 and 16. Like
you have
they're still in it.
The Houston Astros, who are the Houston Astros.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the Rangers, who have one of the better, like all of us, like one of the better stories in baseball right now is, yeah, they bought their whole team, but it's working.
Mm-hmm.
And
made that statement against the Phillies to start the season.
just hammered. I think that if the Angels are at 500 or below, Ohtani gets traded. But if they're not, there's no way he gets traded. And then if he gets traded, there's only two places he's going to go if he gets traded. And it's going to be LA, or it's going to be the Dodgers, or going to be the New York Mets. That's if he gets traded, because you got to think about the package that you're going to be sending for basically a rental.
Yep.
Because he can walk in the offseason again. So you're just hoping that you have a little bit of an edge to be able to sign him in that extension that season before he walks and goes someplace else. Because
he gets traded to the Dodgers, he's getting an extension. That Magic Johnson money is going to be pouring in.
Which
that's the thing. I'm pretty sure the Dodgers, I would have to look at like the farm systems and stuff like that. I know like Diamondbacks have like the third best farm system in baseball because, you know, they better like not spending money.
The tank job that they went on the past few years too.
Yeah. But like if the Dodgers have, because like I don't think the Dodgers go out and like dump a, like that's a weird thing. Like who are they paying tons of money to?
Well, right now it's Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. That's what's crazy about that Dodgers team. In the offseason, they did not add anybody.
Nope.
They didn't add any really big at-bats.
Waiting for Ohtani.
Exactly. And I like that's why I think that like they are going to go so hard on Ohtani, because they know he's going to be possibly available the middle of the year, and then he's definitely going to be available in November. And right, you know, and it's working out for them right now because they're still winning games, and they're, you know, Clayton Kershaw.
They're the best team in baseball with the Braves right now in the last 10 games, and they're ruining the Diamondbacks Cinderella party. In first place of the division. I'm just like, oh my God, they're in first place at the end of April. And then 3 days later, it's just like,
here come the Dodgers.
Yeah, ruin my time. My prediction is Angels choke, like they always do. And by the trade deadline, they're not contending. And Ohtani's not going to be dumb like Trout was. That was the dumbest thing he possibly could have done, was sign that extension with the Angels.
I don't think you're wrong, because you know, it's a tough situation to be in, because if you think like back, I think when he signed that, the Angels seemed like they were trying, but it was like every player
trying for like 10 years.
I know, but it's just like, 10 years. Like back, you can go all the way back to 2011, where they signed Albert Pujols after he wins a World Series. they go and sign Anthony Rendon coming off of a World Series. Like they have, it's not like they've been afraid to go out and get the guys. It's just like they haven't. I honestly feel a little bit bad for the Angels because it's like these guys who are supposed to be elite aren't elite.
I think it's an organizational thing.
Absolutely.
Something's not clicking, and Mike Trout wrapped a shackle around his ankle to it.
I think that there's a chance that if what you're saying comes true, that within the next year, Mike Trout is in a different uniform as well.
That's a bold prediction, and I think for his sake, I hope it's true because I think he's just going to waste away with the Angels.
Like he is 30 or 31 years old. He's still like, yes, Shohei Ohtani exists, and yes, Aaron Judge hit 62 home runs last year. But what we're like, Mike Trout hit a game-tying home run the top of the ninth yesterday. He's still the best player we're probably ever going to watch.
He had 40-something home runs last year.
In 100
playing like how many games?
I know.
But that's the other thing, too. He's going to get hurt. He gets hurt every season. He does not play anywhere close to 160 games. But what's crazy is, and he does play, he's insane. Like, it was the Judge show, and in the NL, it was the Schwarber show. And sneakily, because it was like 17 home runs behind, like Trout was just like raking, and nobody noticed. They also probably took it for granted.
Yeah, so, he's casually going to be in the. So I think he has 300 home runs now. Like he's going to be up there in the home run club in his career. I just think there's a chance if they tank, you know, obviously you're trading him and his contract, which is going to be big, but you know, we're in an era now where these massive contracts are being shelled out. So like you're not telling me that a team like the Phillies or the Mets or the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Dodgers,
the Phillies would love that South Jersey boy come home,
dude. He's a Philadelphia kid. Him and Harper on the same team?
That was a possibility before he did that extension. I feel like the Phillies were like, well, we're not going to get Trout now, get Trey Turner. But like looking at that, because like Harper, will he go back into the outfield anytime soon? Probably not. And the Phillies, I guess, are content having Schwarber Castellanos corner outfielders right now, which like Castellanos is playing above average for himself in the outfield, but like they're still not like, and you have Brandon Marsh in center who's playing a lot better than he's ever played and hitting a lot better than he's ever played. But like
imagine that you get Brandon Marsh outside of the Angels and he's good.
Which Trout has 358 career home runs and 204 stolen bases.
Okay. Wow. So he has 358 now. He's 31 years old. Yeah, I mean, he could be a 600 club guy.
He could. I'm gonna make an interesting bold prediction, getting more towards like the player end of things, because I feel like we talked a lot about divisions and teams. It's always an interesting thing with the MVP argument. I feel like in the AL, it's just gonna be Ohtani and Judge, depending on by the end of the season, people arguing between the two of them. If he could get his average up, bold prediction, Max Muncy is an MVP candidate for the National League.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He has 12 home runs already for the Dodgers. Near the top in RBIs. I didn't realize he's batting 239. Like he would have to get that up, I feel like.
You could have given me 100 guesses and I don't think I would have guessed Max Muncy as your pick.
I Well, at the end of the season, is he going to win the MVP? I don't think so, but like, who's lifting that Dodgers offense? Him and Altman, a big way, which Altman can give Corbin Carroll a run for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, right now I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're pretty much the front runners in the NL. I just think Corbin Carroll has, pun intended, the legs. Like,
Yep.
he's going to be able to, like, I think we're going to see if he can stay, I know he got banged up a little bit, but I think he's back in the lineup tonight. I mean, I think we're seeing an easy 40, probably 50 stolen base season from him.
If you could be an easy 2020 guy, if he could get up to that 20 home runs, because he's obviously going to get to 20 stolen bases.
Yeah. I mean, he already has like 11, 12, 13,
something like that.
Like, so that's why I think he's in. Yeah, I mean, I think you're 100% right. I think the only reason why Aaron Judge won the MVP last year, and I think it, to be fair, it was deserved, was because he broke that AL record. But I think if Ohtani continues to do what Ohtani's going to do, I think Ohtani definitely wins again. And then it turns into a conversation of, are people starting to get used to it? And I think that people can't get used to what Ohtani's doing because it's insane. I think that Ohtani will be like a top 3 finisher for the next however long he plays. If he keeps doing both, he's going to be a top 3 finisher. But I think NL MVP is tough, but I think my preseason was really different than where I sit now. I think I'm hard pressed to say anybody but Ronald Acuna Jr., who has 14 stolen bases, 13 home runs or 10 home runs or something. Like, that Braves team is good, and he is the motor right now.
Yep. He's batting .355. He's only second in the NL to Luis Arias from the
Arias.
Arias batted .424.
That's another one of my player predictions. I think that for the first time since, I think, 2000, we have a chase for 400 batting average, and it's going to be Luis Arias, because he won the batting title last year. He beat Judge. He had like a 330, I think, last year. He's slapping the ball. I think he has 4 strikeouts. Like, insane. Like, he doesn't walk really either. He just slaps the ball over the place. So that's a fun little thing to watch. Like, this random Marlins guy is going to hit 400.
Who could have still been a random Twins guy. Like, that was Lopez, I think, is really working out for the Twins. So I think
it's a win-win trade right now, I think.
Yeah. Which, like, I'm looking at the NL stats right now. The tricky thing is, like, I guess it's going to be, how much do you care about average? Because, like, Pete Alonso right now is 11 home runs, 28 RBIs, slugging it, but like, he's banging .244.
Yeah.
And, like, if you look at Acuna, you have 6 home runs, 20 RBIs, 15 stolen bases, batting .355. All around, I think you're right. That's impressive. What's crazy is, like, looking at, and he's second in the National League in doubles behind Goldschmidt. He's tied with Castellanos, who's just a double machine, apparently. Lindor and Reynolds and Carlos Santana. Who would have thought, like, Carlos Santana's bouncing all around, winds up on the Pirates on the first place team?
Man.
But I'm trying to see, like, looking at RBIs, it's Alonso with 28, Muncy 27, Albies 26, Matt Olson 26. God, that's a lot of Braves. Sean Murphy definitely winning a Silver Slugger at catcher.
Oh, no doubt.
And then Christian Walker, 25 RBIs. And he has like 7 home runs. He's batting 264, which is pretty high for him. So
It is. He's usually like one of those 3 true outcome guys where he either hits a home run, walks, or strikes out.
he's like a 220 hitter, but batting 260 right now. That it's such an interesting time because like and he's batting 238, but like Patrick Wisdom has 11 home runs, 21 RBIs for the middling Cubs. So honestly, all around, it's Acuna. Seems to be the pretty obvious choice. But I don't know. We'll have to see who might get some of those votes as the season goes on.
I think to answer your question, I think average does matter a lot because I was thinking about it. You think of like Yordan Alvarez last year on the Astros. He was like a top 3 finisher as a DH, but like Yordan is a big power bat, but he hit 300.
Yeah.
And, Judge hit 300 while
Judge was fighting for a triple crown for a bit.
Yeah.
Until, somebody kind of just ran away with it.
So, so it's like, I think Pete Alonso will always be that power bat in the middle of that Mets lineup. Well, it'll be interesting if they extend him. I mean, Steve Cohen wants to pay everybody, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't think Pete Alonso has a chance because there are power bats who can hit 50 bombs who also can hit 290, 300. So what do you think? What about early? We've talked about the rules a little bit, benefiting the hitters and the stolen bases and everything. What do you pitchers have been, beat up a little bit more. A lot of like the average guys are a lot worse. A lot of guys who are pretty good or average. So who are you looking at as potential Cy Young winners?
You know what's insane? So I'm looking at like the top ERA leaders in baseball. Vince Velasquez has a 3 ERA and has 4 wins for the Pirates. I'm just like, what?
I have a baseball friend who is like, man, Vince Velasquez is good. Somebody just needs to figure him out. I'm like, he's been on 4 teams now. You don't think somebody would figure him out? But I guess the Pirates have figured him out.
Apparently the Phillies couldn't figure out some of these pitchers that they had. Just send them off and they're finding better pastures. Look at this is going to be an interesting run in the AL between Cole and Gray. I honestly thought Sonny Gray was floundering and not really going to be clicking anymore. But you know what? He went to Minnesota. He's 4-0, a .77 ERA, leading the majors, 41 strikeouts. Garrett Cole, 135 ERA, 5-0, 52 strikeouts. And then some random names here like Justin Steele of the Cubs.
Yep.
4-0, 149 ERA. Bryce Elder on the Braves, 175 ERA. Braves are just scary. They're like, I wouldn't be shocked if it was like a Rays Braves World Series. Both those teams just have a ridiculously high-performing team. Eduardo Rodriguez this is frustrating. Eduardo Rodriguez of the Tigers has a 1.81 ERA, 3-2. Maybe he'll get traded. I don't know. Clayton Kershaw, though, 1.89, 5-1, 41 strikeouts. I watched one of his last start. Looking sharp. And what's crazy is he is only 35. So, he still has years before he's at, Scherzer and, Verlander territory. Clayton Kershaw feels like he should be 45 years old.
Well, it's because he's been pitching for 15 years.
Yeah.
I was looking, I am, as a Giants fan, I am not a Dodgers. I do not like the Dodgers, but it gets to a point of just pure respect for the game. And Clayton Kershaw,
yep.
if you want to see some incredible numbers. Go to his baseball reference page and look at all the bolds, because that dude not only did he have a streak of being incredible, he is now not as good anymore, in quotes. And he's still like, yeah, he doesn't have that high velocity fastball anymore. Okay, well, he's going to drop these curves on you and you're going to
They were
swing through it.
nasty. That start I was watching, and he didn't even like squeak by at a 5-inning start. He pitched 7 strong innings.
He's a horseman. He's like, when I see my team is going up against Clayton, I'm like, dang it.
And he has his 200 wins. He is the
Yeah.
4th most active wins in baseball.
Something that is not like, we will be lucky to see that again. Like, in this day and age, wins just don't come as, pitchers are getting pulled earlier.
Also, do you know who's leading the majors in strikeouts pitching?
Is it Spencer Strider?
I think he was tied for 3rd with Zach Gallen.
Huh. Who's leading?
Ohtani.
He doesn't go super deep into games.
Well, he pitched 5 innings and struck out 13 people the other day. Because here's the thing. He is 4-0, a 2.52 ERA, 39 innings, 59 strikeouts. What's he, a relief pitcher? Like, and a 0.87 whip.
How crazy would it be that if he won a Cy Young award and MVP? I guess pitchers have done that before, but my word, man.
Like, Kevin Gossman of Toronto has 58. So like it's Ohtani at 59, Gossman at 58, Gallen and Strider at 57, and then a couple of drop down to Pablo Lopez, Garrett Cole, Shane McClanahan are all 50 something. Mitch Keller on the Pirates, 3-1, a 3.32 ERA, 48 Ks.
Crazy.
There's and you still have DeGrom here, who's 2-0, 2.67 ERA, 30 innings, 45 strikeouts, a 0.76 whip. And then still, my not so bold prediction is he pitches less than 15 starts again this season.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think I agree with you. But that's the thing, is I think if you're a Rangers fan, you're like, okay, give me 15 starts. We bought a whole rotation. So we just need Eovaldi and Martin Perez and John Gray and Odorizzi and all these guys. We need them to shoulder a load. And then when DeGrom is healthy for his 15 starts or whatever, he's going to shove, and we need to win those games. And I think that's where the Rangers mentality, because DeGrom is technically the ace of that staff, but he doesn't need to put a team on his back anymore. Like,
I think the Rangers would be idiots if they went in thinking, oh, we're going to trade for DeGrom and we're going to get 30 starts out of him each season. No, you're not. That's just not going to happen. So there's some very interesting stuff, but I guess, Nash, do you have any final bold predictions?
Well, I'll just throw out there, I know we've been giving him a lot of love, but if I was a betting man, I legitimately think Zach Gallen's going to win NL Cy Young. I think it's going to be between him and Spencer Strider. Spencer Strider is a 2-pitch pitcher, and I just feel like they're eventually going to figure him out, but we'll see.
I think, and my bold prediction to build off of that is Gallen's going to go for another 20-plus inning scoreless streak at some point this season. When he's clicking, nobody's touching him.
And I think particularly because baseball voters are fickle, I think they will, if the Diamondbacks make the postseason, I think that it's a really high chance. But if they don't, then he might get snubbed. But yeah. And I think I'll change it all right now. I think Ohtani's going to win AL Cy Young. But yeah, to wrap it up, who would you realistically at this point in the season, where we've got our surprise narratives, we've got our sad narratives, RIP Oakland A's,
Really
and
sad. Real sad.
where who do you think will represent the leagues in the World Series? I know you threw out the Braves Raves, but is that who you really think is going to be there? Or
At this point, I do. I think because going into the season, I still predicted Dodge. I actually predicted Dodgers Astros again because I'm like, I can't go into a season not predicting the two of them until they show me that they can't win anymore. It's just that's how they've both been at this point. I just think that, like, just looking through the stats here while we've been talking, Nash, I'm going to find it real hard to bet against the Braves. They just have way too many pitchers and hitters that are putting up numbers to not be there. And then I think Tampa is going to have a year where it's like people need to stop talking about how they're like a scary, like a sneaky good team. They're out in front now,
yeah,
and they're
they're
like,
actually just a good team.
it's like you better give us some respect. Um, I do think it's going to be them. I don't think Texas is gonna like. I think Texas will make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make it to the World Series. And it's going to be definitely not going to be anybody from the Central. No offense, Twins or Guardians. It's like you'll make it, but I don't think you're going to do anything. It's going to be what and Yankees and Red Sox look way too flawed. I don't think the Orioles are going to come. Like the Orioles don't have. Like, am I going to be scared facing them in a playoff series?
Absolutely not.
You're throwing Kyle Gibson out game one. I'm like, no. And Toronto needs to stop playing slightly above average. Like you have way too much talent to be playing slightly above average because that's what they did last season, and that's what they're doing now. I think that this is going to be a reckoning year for the Yankees. Oh, here's one last bold prediction: Brian Cashman gets canned at the end of the season. If they don't turn things back around, I think the Steinbrenners are going to have to stop sticking their head up their ass and like, we need to shake something up because the Yankees are not doing the things that they need to do to win. They spend money, but they're not making their team better.
Yeah, I mean, it's the type of thing that if like it, if they don't go out at the deadline and get an Ohtani, or if he's not available, just a Giolito or get somebody, like, I think that I haven't even thought about that. I think that's really, and he's like one of the guys, if he gets fired, that's a big deal.
I think it's about time I think him and Aaron Boone both get this Yankees team hung around their neck and dropped off because of it. And I think it's going to be crazy because it's going to come down to one big player. Big player. That Hicks problem I'm not trying to over exaggerate this, but it seems like it's becoming a really bad problem.
The problem is that they have three guys like that now. Aaron Hicks was like the guy they could point the finger to. Now they have Aaron Hicks. Now they have Josh Donaldson. Now they have Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Like, if you talk to a Yankees fan, like I listen to some people who are Yankees fans, and they're like, we don't just have one scapegoat. Like, what we're throwing out these like below replacement player like guys every day. Like, how can Josh Donaldson should not be our starting third? Like, that is not the Yankee. We can't do that. Like, the guy is washed. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa made more errors in the field last year. Like, he can't be your starting shortstop. So.
Well, and they're probably thinking like, oh, well, the Phillies made it to the World Series playing like crap in the field. They would have won the World Series if they didn't play like crap in the field.
there's that. But if you look at that team, like the Phillies, they're like 1-6 last year, was one of the scariest 1-6 in the lineup. And that was a year where Castellanos wasn't hitting,
Yep.
So any given day that one of those Phillies players can go off. The Yankees, you have Aaron Judge, and you had your piece about Stanton. I think Stanton is still, you can't just walk Judge. That's the thing with Stanton, is that the boon that Stanton brings to your team is that you hit him behind a guy like Aaron Judge. You can't just walk Aaron Judge, because Stanton can punish you. If Stanton's not there, though, you're just going to walk their best hitter, and guess what? You get 4 rookies. You're just going to blow fastballs by
Josh Donaldson hitting behind him, who is going to hit a ball to the warning track and trot out there like an asshole, like he hit a home run. It's like, I'm going to hit the right field in Yankee Stadium and still not be able to knock it out of the park and run like an a-hole. It's just like, I don't know, that Yankees team they're riding high on a reputation. And like LeMahieu was an MVP candidate, 2 years ago? And it's like a shell.
Yeah.
Of like what he could be doing. Like there's nothing in that lineup to protect Judge. And they're really trying to make Anthony Volpe work. And they're putting a lot of pressure on him.
Kid, man. Like he's a rookie playing on arguably baseball's biggest stage, and where he should be hitting in the bottom of that lineup, get him time out there, but he should not be hitting leadoff or 2 on his rookie season in front of intense New York crowd that expects winning. Like that's a tough place. And he's doing okay, but I'm just like, Cashman, I don't know what you're doing, man. Like it's not.
And you know working. What? Like the Diamondbacks have the flexibility, and I keep drawing fine Diamondbacks because obviously I pay attention to them. They have the ability to like once a week call up a top prospect and be like, we're going to give them a try. Like, however you say his name, Fad.
Fat. Yeah. Brandon Pfaadt. Yeah.
Yeah. Pitch like shit for a start, but like they have the flexibility. They have no expectations. And they could rotate some of them in because, like, who's your starting rotation on the Diamondbacks? You got Gallen, boom. Merrill Kelly has it in him. He can do it. And then who else? Trying people out.
Ryan Nelson, Dre Jameson.
Ryan Nelson was pitching pretty good for a couple starts and then had some not great starts. But that's the thing. They're still 17-14 and in second place. So, like, and that's the thing. They have a scary lineup. Like, Christian Walker can pop. Could also bat 220, but like he could hit home runs. It's the thing. It's like, it's all about expectations. If you're the Yankees, you can't play around games like that. It's not, you're the Yankees. So I'm not convinced they're going to be a real threat. Toronto really needs to start clicking like the talent that they have, because they have an obscene amount of talent on their team. And Tampa's the only one being out there like, I'm a threat. And you should know it. Because the thing is, I am afraid of their starting rotation if I'm facing them, between like throwing McClanahan out there first game 1, just like, that's a scary opponent.
And that's the thing, is Glasnow is going to be back in like 2 weeks.
Who do you have World Series right now?
It's every bone in my body is just, I think the Astros are built to win championships. And I love the Rays. I'm rooting for the Rays, but if I'm like, I can't not say the Astros, because the Astros still have a 1-5 pitching rotation to rival any team.
Mm-hmm.
You still have, Altuve is going to be back after a broken hand. You still have Jordan. You still have Bregman, Kyle Tucker. I think that, I think the Rays' chances are a lot higher, but I think that the Astros are probably going to represent, which bums me out. As I wanted the Mariners there this year, but for the National League, I think it's a little bit more of a toss-up. I mean, the Braves are good, but the Braves have kind of shown me that, yeah, they won a World Series in 2019, but they've also been knocked out early. Like them and the Dodgers, I have like a weird, like I don't have a ton of trust in them in the postseason sometimes. Like I feel like they can follow.
No. Dodgers that's the thing. They could win that division every year for 15 years.
They won
like
111 games last year.
And then they lost to the team that kept choking to them, which was the Padres. And the Braves choked to the Phillies. That's the team. Sometimes it really does come down to what's the team built to be the streakiest sometimes.
I think if I was a betting man, I think I would probably say the Astros. And we didn't give them a ton of love, but I think that the Padres could, if they click. I also think they have an outside shot at the whole Ohtani thing. Like, why not? Right? They're going.
They have the money. They will spend it.
They're the Mets West. They're just going to go out and get players. And the thing is that it's working a little bit better for them. Tatis is back and he seems to be doing well. Like they have a scary lineup 1 through like 7. So I think right now the Braves are the better team, but I think I think the Padres will get better. They're a team that won't just settle for the team they have. They will get better, which scares me and makes me like, okay.
Nelson Cruz is hitting again.
Yeah, him, Matt Carpenter.
Which my biggest thing against the Padres is they don't feel like a team to me. I don't like they have a lot of egos on their team, and I don't feel like they all get along and are actually clicking as a unit. Like I look at the Dodgers, I look at the Braves, they look like legit teams. Because like if you look at the Dodgers on paper, a lot of their lineup doesn't look like, oh my God, these are star players, but they play great together.
Yeah.
And they've been doing that for 15 years, which is so frustrating. And you probably also feel having to watch them keep winning.
Well, that's the thing is I had one season, that 2021 miracle season where the Giants somehow won 106 games.
If my brother were here, he'd give the Giants one very big piece of advice. F Gabe Kapler, get him hell out of there.
Gabe Kapler is okay for us, man. I'm a Gabe Kapler fan.
Sure wasn't in Philly. He might be one of the most hated managers in the history of the Phillies.
I just think that what he was trying to do in Philly didn't work, but he was able to go to San Francisco and do it because they were rebuilding, whereas Philly was like a good team. Mm-hmm. And you can't play that like platoon baseball when you have a bunch of like stars on your team. You can't platoon like that. Whereas you can go to the San Francisco Giants and be like, oh, Darren Ruff? Okay. Yeah, you're going to hit against righties. And Wilmer Flores? Sure. Mike Yastrzemski? Like, we can play around. So I think he's able to play a little bit more.
So, Houston Padres?
I'm Houston Padres right now just because I believe that they will go and get better.
Well, had a lot to talk about baseball-wise. We'll see how much of this is still relevant halfway through the season. I'm just sitting here and hoping that the Diamondbacks don't have one of their world-famous months from hell. Because that's what's been killing them the past couple of years. They have 1 month where they are atrocious and just dig them. Like, there was one year they lost almost 20 games in a row. I'm just like, please don't do this to me. But we shall see. But Nash, thank you so much for coming on and talking some baseball.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm happy to be here, man.
And thank all of you out there for tuning in and always supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.